The cataclysm of Atlantis struck a race of floundering wimps, plummeted them to the very basics of survival again. It shouldn't happen like that. Or like this.
Atlantis. We often think of it as an underwater city, which is usually portrayed in media. But in Tomb Raider 1, Atlantis is a whole different thing. So let's get into context. Atlantis was once ruled by the Hokan, Kolpik, and Natla. Each of them has their own piece of the scheme, an artifact with immense power, which represents the ruling structure that Atlantis was governed by. However, it all went down when Natla abused his power. Natla believed that their evolution becomes stale as they relied too much on technology. This drove her to genetically engineer a new race to be the predators of humans, to force us to become stronger as they killed the weak, which is obviously natural selection. This forced the Hokan and Kolpik to trap Natla in a freezing chamber forever, until she escaped. And just like the mad scientist that she were, this drove her to continue her deranged experiments inside the volcanic pyramid that was once a remnant of Atlantis.
Back again.
And you? For a grand reopening, I assume.
Evolution's in a rut, natural selection at an all-time low. Shipping out fresh meat will incite territorial rages again. Will strengthen and advance us. Even create new breeds.
Kind of evolution on steroids.
Now it's up to Laura to stop it at all costs before it's too late. From the story alone, you can see and feel that Atlantis level design has a unique identity. Fleshy pulsating walls, bones, meat, and intestines probably, are enough proof that this place you are venturing out to is Atlantis, the womb where Natla's abominations come to life. Back in the day when I played Tier 1 for the first time, I never got to Atlantis because I eventually gave up when I reached Egypt. However, the remasters changed my mind and it urged me to continue forward. To my surprise, Atlantis immediately became my favorite level of Tier 1. I might be biased because I'm a person that loves gore and horror, and for me, Atlantis is a perfect representation of that bias. It's a horror level, and we couldn't ignore that. Disgusting level design? Check. Bunch of traps? Check. Creepy enemies? Check. And the remasters have done a pretty good job to preserve this kind of eeriness on this level. The new enhanced textures, and the addition of new objects, 3D objects like these veins, made it look grossier even more. The sheer amount of horror that you'll feel in this level is just immensely great. I actually got jump scared a lot of times in this level, not just from the enemies, but also from the traps themselves. Making Laura traverse in this grotesque, organic environment made me wonder, how the hell does this level smell like? Spine levers, muscles and tendons? Are these pulsating walls actually a heart? It probably stinks so bad. I can imagine Laura taking a long shower after all this. Being in love with Tier 1's Atlantis, I just can't help but feel that a Tomb Raider Anniversary's version of Atlantis actually missed the mark. I totally understand that they had to change some level design decisions because it's a remake, but I didn't expect that Anniversary's Atlantis would be highly affected in this. Gone are the fleshy pulsating walls, bone levers, and everything gross is just gone. All that's left from this identity are these static veiny organic pods that spread across the walls. Playing Anniversary's Atlantis feels a bit different. It didn't give me this feeling from Tomb Raider 1 of how slimy these walls are, or how brushy the floors feels like. Although having new traversal elements, the side rooms that are filled with traps in the original are missing.
So the center of the pyramid was sort of this giant shaft that went up the middle. In the original game, Laura just sort of jumped from one sort of periphery room to the other off of this main area. And so we really wanted to get Laura back into this big, vast space with the constant fear of falling into the lava in the bottom. And so we sort of cut all of the side rooms off and ended up actually taking some of them and reordering the areas and putting them later in the level. But we really just wanted to let Lara sort of really traverse this big old giant shaft of nothing that leads up to the Skion room at the top.
Even the throne room of the three rulers are missing, which is one of the highlights of this level from TR1. But I'm so glad the doppelganger puzzle and the time bridge are still intact before you end the level. Even with its differences, Tomb Raider Anniversary's Atlantis is still such a joy to play. But TR1's Atlantis still remains superior for me, not only because of the grotesque design, but also for the challenge it gives. And that's because of the tank controls and the grid-based system of the classic Tomb Raider games. Playing the remastered version of Atlantis made me rekindle my love for classic Tomb Raider's stylistic choice and platforming. No realism in sight, just a batshit crazy level that will test your wits and skills. And that's what makes this level so great in terms of traversal and design. The right amount of grotesque, the right amount of horror, and the right amount of challenge. This is Atlantis.
Hatching commences in 15 seconds.
Too late for abortions now.
Not without the heart of the operation.
No!